What is going on, YouTube? I've talked about this in the past, guys, and we're just going to jump right into it. If you guys have not yet watched my video, it's been pretty popular, called Retro Collecting Sucks. And we're just going to kind of follow up on that and talk a little bit more about this, because I saw somebody posted a video talking about how retro game collecting, any game collecting right now, is hard. And we're just going to kind of go over, why that might be, ways to improve it, and just kind of what to look for when you're doing kind of trying to collect games. Now, I'm not gonna go too much into a lot of the details, but like you said, that I'm personally right now on a hiatus from collecting because I've just been grabbing too much stuff. But I'm gonna kind of park my wisdom onto some of you guys on how I was able to pick up a lot of the stuff I did. So that way, hopefully, retro gaming collecting or video game collecting at all will not be too insanely hard for you guys. Now, one of the first things I always suggest when collecting, it doesn't have to be games, it can be toys, anything like that, trading cards and stuff like that. You need to specifically find what you want to collect for. Now, obviously, you could take the easy way out, and that's just simply, basically buy everything in sight. Not collect for one certain system, not collect one kind of franchise, anything like that. Just basically buying whatever the hell you see. Now, when I was pretty early on in my collecting phases, that was what I did. I kind of focused on getting all the consoles at first, and then I just kind of went off the deep end, and just everything I saw I started grabbing. So I would specifically go on sites like eBay, Mercari, and stuff like that, and all I would put in is video games in the description of what I'm searching for. And that was really all I went after, guys. I would just find whatever was the greatest deal, buy it, and call it good. But the problem with that is I started getting so much shelf fillers, so much crappy games. I've talked about it before. Now, some people have said some stuff, but like I was getting games like Amped on the original Xbox. I was getting some weird NES games that I never heard of that were really crappy games, and yeah, it was definitely not the way to do it, is really what I'm getting down to saying. I didn't have a goal in mind. I just wanted to build a huge collection that I could brag about, to show off on YouTube and do all this stuff, and it really was not good at all. It was just a bunch of shit, basically, is what I was buying. And then after that, I kind of was going to focus a little bit more on one console. So I was kind of big for a little while into collecting for the original Xbox, because I loved the way that the game cases looked. I was a huge fan of the original Xbox when it came out. I remember playing Halo at Christmas when I got my first Xbox, and just like me and my cousins playing it all Christmas break non-stop. And I was like, I wanted to relive some of those glory days, so I started buying original Xbox games insanely, just so many of them. But what I found out was, just like the NES and anything like that, was most of those games are crap. There was a lot of good. I'm not saying the original Xbox has horrible games, but there's a lot of crap out there. So I was buying games, trying to play them, and I'm like, this is not a good game at all. Why did I even buy this? So that was the other thing, was then from then on, I was just back to buying just random games again. If I saw a good deal on Facebook Marketplace or Mercari, or like I said, eBay or something, I would just buy it and start filling more shelves. And then just after so long, it just came not fun anymore to collect video games. I was looking at a lot of these, and it was just kind of like, this is not fun. I don't want to play these. I'm using way too much money. And it just became not awesome at all, really, anymore. So the reason that I found that retro game collecting and collecting in general became hard was because I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to collect. I didn't have an end game. My end game was just get as much games as possible. So I went from then on to kind of focusing on why I want to collect, and that was just to fill a void. And I'm not going to go into a retro game, collection addiction, because I've done so many videos on this. This is just specifically to go onto that. So one of the big things, too, why game collecting is hard right now is because, in many ways, YouTube and the internet in general. So beforehand, you could buy so much games super cheap because people didn't know how much they were worth. You could walk into Goodwill, buy games for $1 or $2, and walk away with a nice stack. Same with garage sales. You find random garage sales, and you can find, you know, games for $1 a piece, and get a bunch of great ones. You know, Link to the Past, Mario, all those great ones on Super Nintendo, everything like that. You could get for dirt cheap because people didn't know how much they were worth. Then the internet came along, you know, the eBay, searching for how much the stuff was worth, and people not even knowing exactly how much it really is worth. They just search for it, and the first thing that pops up is what they charge. So I've seen, you know, I've gone to garage sales, seen Super Mario World for like $30. I've gone in the Goodwill now and seen that their regular common games are up to $8, $9, $10, you know, $10 or something like that. And it's a common shitty game. And it was just like, why is this so high? And then I asked them one time, I go, how do you price your games? And they said they had just a guy in the back, really, that would just search and then see what the general consensus for how much games were averaging. And then that's how he'd go. And I was just like, this is insane, you know, that is not how to do it. And I've even gone to a different thrift store and told them that, you know, you're charging way too much for this stuff. No one's going to buy this. And all I got from them was, well, we're all volunteers here, so if you want to do anything about the pricing, maybe you should just volunteer to help here. And I'm like, I'm not doing that, guys. I'm trying to tell you how to sell stuff. I don't have free time to volunteer here. But the pricing for everything has gotten hard too, because everybody just wants way too much money for this stuff. I know we've gone through, we can check price charting. I can pull up, you know, the trends and see that, you know, obviously the retro game pricing itself has steadily gone up, and it's kind of evened out for the most part right now. But it's just the pricing for everything is so hard. And like I said, you have issues with like YouTube really showcasing how easy it is nowadays to resell, to do thrift reselling, you know, just buying everything used and then reselling it. They're showing how easy it is. They're showing how to make money off of it. So not only are you competing, you know, with garage sales and stuff raising their prices, but now you have, you know, maybe 10, 15, 20 competitors in your area that is also constantly searching for video games. So they might not even be collectors themselves too. They, like I said, they could just be the specific resellers that do it all just for profit. So it's gotten so hard to do that stuff that you almost have to dedicate yourself full time to searching for games if you want to get decent games. I know that I've talked about in the past, like I would wake up in the morning a lot of times, even in the afternoon, and check Facebook Marketplace and try and just, you know, spam people that were selling video games, because by the time I would see it, if you didn't, like, you know, talk to them within the first few minutes, somebody already had it claimed. And that's how fast it was around here. And now I'm in small town Iowa, you know, like in a town of like 1,000 people, and there would still be other people out there competing with me for that stuff, because I've talked to a few people here, and they have online stores. Like my buddy, who I didn't even know, you know, he was doing it till later on, but he showed me his video game collection that he had been accruing over time. But he had gotten them all from garage sales, and then he goes online and he sells them on Mercari and stuff. And I hadn't even seen a local person really do that. So that was really fun, or not really fun, it was really funny to see that. But that's just it too, is like you have so many competitors in your area now that just use, like, you know, okay, you can walk up to a garage sale, and I don't specifically do this because I find it disrespectful, but they pull out their phones, they look at stuff, and then they just start typing it in eBay to see how much it's worth. And I've seen this at thrift stores too. They'll even pull like DVDs or games off, and I think Mercari and eBay all have UPC scanners, so they'll scan the UPC, see what it's going for, and if it's, you know, worth a decent amount, they will just cop it and then freaking resell it. Probably resell it even before they get in their car. They'll just take a picture, post it on their store, and go from there. And it's just, I wouldn't say that stuff is too insanely hard to find, like, per se for itself. Like I said, you just got your competitors and stuff that you have to compete with, and it's just hard to do. But I still see, you know, retro games popping up all over the place. They're still all over the place, because somebody tried telling me, you know, well they're getting old, they're getting broken, they're getting, you know, stuff like that. And unless they're being thrown away, that's not true. They still, you know, are in attics, they're still stuffed away in basements, they're still at grandma's house, you know, in a closet somewhere. And you might get lucky and find them in the garage sales for cheap when they don't know what it is, but it's just getting, like, hard to find some of that stuff. And then it's just, yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of what I would do is I live in a small area, so I would have to do a lot of online shopping. Another good thing is to also get some friends. Get some friends that, if you're collecting certain stuff, I had a buddy who was checking Goodwills for me in different locations whenever he'd go out, especially when I was collecting my original Xbox. And he would send me pictures of what was there and if I needed it or not, and then he'd pick it up for me. That's good, I bet, too, because then they also, like, some people have, different work hours, and then they could scourge garage sales for you, too. Because that was one time too. I got a bag of games randomly from a family member one time because they were garage sailing and they seen a bunch of games at this one spot pretty cheap, so they grabbed it for me, and it was amazing. And then a lot of times too, it's just luck, guys. I mean, collecting can be hard at times. But a lot of times you get lucky. Like I had earlier this year in January, I had made a listing. When I was collecting, now I'm not really as focused on collecting at all. I'm just kind of playing. I just made a Facebook post saying looking for retro games, and I listed, the consoles, GameCube, Nintendo, Sega, blah, blah, blah. And I had somebody reach out to me. I got some GameCube and some Nintendo 64 stuff, and they sent me a picture. Then it was all dirty and stuff like that, and I got this tote full, so they just kind of sent me a picture of the tote. So yeah, I was like, okay, whatever, yeah, I'll check it out. And I asked how much they wanted for it, and they wanted $150. So I seen that there's a couple GameCube, like 2 GameCubes in it, a 64, a Super Nintendo, and the consoles themselves were worth it. But when they showed up, they had, I got another tote that I found, so I'll just give that to you too. And then when I opened the other tote, it was full of games, like legit games, GameCube games, Nintendo 64 games, basically all the games for the consoles themselves. So I had gotten lucky, super lucky, and was able to get a huge collection. I think I valued it at around $300 at least, and I paid like $150. I think it was even valued more because there was games like Conker's Bad Fur Day and stuff in there. So obviously it's probably valued more, but I was, I got super lucky there. And I had mentioned to them too, that, well, what do you want for the games? And they said, nah, don't worry about that. They said, just buy all of it for $150. And when stuff like that happens, a lot of times I just will not go off and resell everything right away. I usually hold on to stuff. So I ended up getting a case for Conker's Bad Fur Day, and I'm keeping it down there. And then there was another GameCube game in there that was worth like $100 or something like that I'm holding on to for a friend. He said that when he gets the money someday he wants to buy it. So that's pretty cool. But I'm kind of just rambling on now, guys. But I've seen people talking about, retro game collecting is hard, and it is. Like I said, you gotta have goals in mind, because then you're just shooting in the dark, and then it's not fun, and you feel like motivated to have to buy stuff all the time. And I wish I was like a lot of these guys that saved all their games from when they were when they were kids, and then they were able to already start off with a decent collection. But a lot of everything you see behind me, I had to accrue over, the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I wasn't able to just, have some stuff. So, luckily, I was able to get some really cool stuff at decent prices and hold on to it. And I do have, if you want to say an investment in some, like, my private collection has some pretty rare games in it. If I ever should need to sell them, I will have the money, and I can get it for stuff. I will have money, and I can always start over. And that's just kind of the good thing about that stuff. So yes, game collecting is hard, but it doesn't have to always be hard. You don't just have to buy, and you don't have to. Thing is, you don't have to build a collection super fast. It's a lot nicer to slowly do it over time and get stuff that you appreciate, like games that you want to play. That's my big thing now, is making sure that I get games that I want to play and not just buying a bunch of games. I want to just get stuff that I'm going to enjoy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I was just kind of doing one of those things that talking about just collecting in general, and how, like you said, it can be hard, and it should be hard, because then it makes it a lot better in the end. It makes it more fun, and it makes it, it makes you feel more accomplished in the end when you have a decent collection of stuff you really like. So I want to know in the comments below what you guys are collecting right now. Are you grabbing everything in sight? Are you just collecting for certain consoles? Are you trying to complete some kind of set, or what? But with that being said, guys, as always, stay retro, my friends, and I will see you in the next video.